Hey, this is the World Advice Channel 2. What I want to talk about today is the topic of will AI technology result in a societal collapse? So, when it comes to the idea of AI technology, when it comes to ChatGPT, and just in general AI technology doing the jobs people would do, whether it's manual labor, like building things like cars, or working at stores, like fast food restaurants, serving food, and stuff like that. To of course, doing creative skills, music, art, literature, and stuff, yada yada yada. The question that obviously comes up is that will AI, due to it replacing people, result in a apocalypse slash societal collapse and stuff? And the simple answer to that question, if it continues on, yes, it will definitely result in a societal collapse. Now let me explain. So when it comes to the topic of AI technology, that is becoming more and more popular, common sense would obviously dictate that even though it's becoming popular and it's powerful, the truth of the matter is like anything in reality, nothing in life is completely for certain. We might think something's gonna happen or something is not gonna happen, and something turns out to happen that of course, you know, makes things go in a completely different direction. In other words, the future is uncertain. So we don't know for certain, okay? Well, when it comes to projecting if things continue to go a certain way or something, just like if AI continues to become more and more popular, and as well more popular, it's not going to be human labor and stuff like that. In that regard, yes, it will result in an apocalypse, okay? And the reason why I believe it is that first and foremost, obviously, as a result of course, AI replacing the need for human beings being able to actually do things, common sense would obviously dictate. First and foremost, the question that come up is where are the jobs going to be? That is exactly the truth of the matter. Where are the jobs going to be? In other words, the biggest one of all, what I'm trying to say is how are people going to live? Okay, that is obviously going to result in riots. Okay, and not just riots, but massive civil unrest. Because if there's not a need for people to do jobs, then the question is how are they going to make their money? And of course, people are always going to say, well, they can still make money in this way. Maybe the government might pay them grants and so on and so forth, and yada yada yada. But truth be told, when has the government ever been reliable at anything for that matter? Especially when money is involved, for that matter, to put it bluntly. Never. The government has never been reliable for anything, especially when they have to act. Because a lot of people in the government anyway are malevolent and just straight up greedy people for that matter. Do you think they're going to actually handle the money? Just like all the projects that they say they're going to do and they're going to build. You always realize that even in the best situations, there's always money laundering, which means they're taking some of the money that they're supposed to use and putting in their own personal pockets. Okay? So when you have a government that does things like that for everything for that matter, and even has a lot of people who are associates of it that are rich, powerful people who, of course, are surprise, 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 known for money laundering, even for things like charity and so on and so forth. What makes you think that when it comes to paying the overall population even some money, which let's say it's America, it's usually worth 300 million people, let alone all the world governments in the world combined, for that matter, what makes you think you're actually going to pay the people the amount of money that they need? Common sense is going to obviously indicate they're not going to pay it very well. So if you obviously have a huge population of people and they're not being paid, then you're going to obviously have a lot of massive civil unrest. And of course, civil unrest will lead to war, violence on the streets, chaos for that matter in general. And when you have that chaos for that matter, you of course are going to have a lot of restriction of civilization and so on and so forth. So that is the truth of the matter. So in short, yes, it will result in a societal collapse if it's not stopped. We do not know nothing about global warming, save the years when we have an issue of doing it to stop it. When it comes to AI, there's just not many restrictions or anything put in place, let alone we just don't do it because we don't need to. Then common sense is going to indicate it's going to cause a lot of problems. And from what I can reason from the knowledge and wisdom I have, it's going to result in a societal collapse. And I don't know if like shit anymore, just like how Rome fell apart. It's gonna result in civilization here falling apart as well too, for that matter. Okay, because obviously when you have a lot of people who not only are not getting paid the amount of money supposed to be being paid, but they're also, of course, as well, no surprise, are bored as hell and they have nothing to do because there's not a need to do any jobs and stuff, then they're gonna start causing problems and just, causing chaos. History showed us numerous times, let alone your local hood, ghetto, project, or local area, especially if you live in America, pretty much shows that not having any money and anything to do is always going to be a recipe for freaking disaster. And that is a truth of here. And now I'm trying to put that on a massive scale. Bunch of people, hundreds of millions of people, billions of people across the world is going to result in even more freaking chaos. Because now so many people are involved in every way, shape, or form. And the more people you have already seen, you're going to have more chaos for everyone. Okay? So in short, it's going to result in it. And as a result, if it's left unchecked, will result in civilizations collapsing. Just like the numerous civilizations throughout history that were once prosperous, rich, and full of money, they all end up collapsing, and all you see is nothing left. And what I believe would happen if society were to collapse, that people would live like they did anywhere from hundreds of thousands of years ago. Not necessarily on a technological level, but based on a societal level. They will live like that. People will start living in massive communities, of course, away from the cities and stuff, where they might live in small, tight-knit communities where if they don't know you, they might give you a hard time and yada yada and stuff, let alone the fact that there's going to be a bunch of people who are dead, because of society collapse, and so on and so forth. So it's literally going to be like a Mad Max freaking thing, to be honest. And that's what's going to happen because at the end of the day, there's not going to be any civilization because everything's going to fall apart and it's going to be a lot of chaos. It's not a world you want to live in, okay? Even for the people who might think it's cool and interesting to live in a world, like that, because Hollywood brainwashed us, especially I believe 1980s and 2000s for this, because they were so well produced, not just so well produced, but so good at making it look like an AI takeover was cool as hell. But the reality is really boring. It wouldn't have any massive buildings, of course, flying cars. You cannot forget flying cars. You wouldn't have that or anything like even humanoid robots. We're just living in a very corporate society in this world. If we leave AI technology unchecked, like I was saying, we're just gonna live in a boring world, just a boring corporate world where we have an algorithm AI that does everything for us. They're just gonna cause more problems for a world that's already has enough problems to begin with. So in short, that would be not a world you want to live in. Not even like cool bad, okay? Just bad, bad, bad. For that matter, okay? Because even though nobody in life wants to live a hard, bad life, if something's at least gonna be bad, at least make it cool bad, not just bad, 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 like boring bad. But that's how it's gonna be like with AI technology, and that's the truth of the matter. Okay, so now that I mentioned, of course, what happened, now the common sense question that's obviously gonna come up is, of course, what can we do to stop it? To prevent this from happening. Well, the first thing we need to do is obviously realize we do not really need AI technology. Everything that you can imagine that can be done, humans can do. All that needs to be done is maybe finding better, smarter ways to encourage faster production, which there are ways to do that for that matter, okay? So we do not really need AI technology for that matter, okay? We don't need it. It's just not really needed, okay? So that's one thing I will definitely say. let alone the fact, do what is really the need for it if it's just going to cause more chaos and drama, um, then we actually, of course, are really do not need, because the world's already have enough problems as it is. So that's the truth of the matter. Why do we need to do this stuff if it can cause a scenario that I just described just now earlier on in the video? There's no need for it. We're the most powerful species as humans on the planet. Why do we need to do anything like we're competing against anything aside from ourselves? It's so stupid, and that's why I think AI is a bad technology and should not be embraced and should never replace the need for human labor, as there's no need for it, and it'll just cause more problems than the good it could ever create, for that matter. And this is my video. This is all I have to say. I hope you enjoyed it, and that is all. So simply put it,